So welcome, teachers, parents, educators, artists. I'm Gail Lescher. I come from a school in California. I took 2 classes through there. My background is in the arts. My bachelor's degree is in printmaking, fine arts, with a minor in art history. I hope one of the things that I'd like to get out of today is to just walk you through working more quickly, hopefully with more confidence, and we'll see where we go from there. Okay, so we are going to be using, and this probably will not come as a surprise to any of you, the sides of the chalk for most of our drawing. So this is going to be a first grade drawing, and in first grade, and oftentimes as I went up through the grades, I didn't put it in a box. I would just kind of float it. You all kind of have a defined space there. So with the side of your chalk, just lightly, we're going to make an oval. And the edges can be soft. So there doesn't have to be any distinct hard edge on the outside. So this drawing, we're going to, it's going to be an image of a couple little children, kind of a Hansel and Gretel kind of image, walking through a forest. They're walking towards the light, and there's going to be trees rising up kind of on either side of them. And they're going to be very dwarfed by these trees. So this is really them in this much larger world where they're quite vulnerable. So coming up from one side, we're going to come up with a tree trunk, and it can branch and branch and branch out. So basically what we're going to do is leave this middle section here. This is kind of sacred ground. And already I want to start layering colors. So I've got right now red-violet trees. Oh well. I'm going to put some blue over them, or blue-purple. Something, if you've got a blue-violet or a purple, something in that. You can take that and bring it right back into this outer circle. So whatever you started with in your outer circle, you're going to now add a second color. Now, one of the things about chalkboard drawing is the question is always, what order do I put things down in? Do I start with the background and work my way forward? Do I put my foreground in and then color in around it? So before we get too much further into our trees, bring in a light color, a yellow, a peach. And again, I'm going to put it right into this border. Keep it nice and soft. And you can start getting a lovely overlap of color there. And then use this yellow and identify the background. And don't get too finicky because we're going to put leaves on these trees, so don't get too anal about filling in every little nook and cranny. I'm going to start dancing around the periphery of the tree and placing very ambiguous, not well-defined clusters of leaves. And even though we can assume there are some branches coming out towards us too, so some of these leaves can be lower in the front of the tree to give it a little bit more of a three-dimensional effect. And gosh, while we're at it, let's take that green and go around our border a little bit, maybe dance it over some of the yellow or what other colors you've used on the outside, and temper some of this bright purple. You could even bring some up into the tree trunk, tone it down just a little bit. I would add at least one more color over the top, and what I want to do is give the leaves a little bit of a highlight. So if you're used a dark green, come in with a lighter green or a yellow, and we're going to come over some of these clumps of leaves, not all of them. And one of the things that I try and consider when I'm drawing is, where's my light source? For this drawing, the light source is coming from behind the trees. So where we're going to see the most shimmering quality of brightness is going to be around the perimeter. So where I'm going to see it most is where this light from behind is coming through. So particularly around the edges, maybe right in here. You find some places where those branches overlap with the other tree. The side of the tree where there might be a little bit of light creeping around that edge. So I'm going to lighten that up a little bit, and some of the major trunks are in. So it's going to come into the earth a little bit, phase out on the other side, and I can bring this brown up into the tree, give it a little bit less of that strong, all those strong crazy colors that we began with, but allow them to come through. Don't obliterate them. So we've got two little figures that we're going to put in here, and they're going to be very small. They're dwarfed by these trees. So I'm going to make them, they're going to be right here in the middle, and first I'm just going to draw them in lightly in a white. Head, shoulders, legs. Maybe they're holding hands. He's wearing blue slacks. This is where I might bring in some black for their hair, white to accentuate them a little bit behind. Because really our sky was the only place we only put in one color. So coming back in, give them a little bit more contrast. And then you can decide, do I have enough contrast? Do I want to soften my border? I can do that by putting some white overlay over some of these other colors I've put on there if it's a little too harsh. At this point, I can leave this. If I want to go back in and smudge, I have to decide, well, what do I want to smudge? Do I want it to look more painterly? Do I want to soften it? If I start smudging, I'm going to very quickly soften everything. It will become much more muted, and you have to decide, do I want to do that? Do I want it to be softer? Do I want to leave the graininess? It's up to you. So I smudged one half and I left the other half untouched. What do you think?
It's amazing the difference.
It's significant. And that's just another one of the choices you get to make. As an artist, what do you want your finished piece to look like?